Hey, what's up guys? It's Kevin. I'm gonna take you through the plank today. Let's begin. The plank is a fundamental core exercise and it feeds into so many different calisthenic skills, and it's a baseline that you must have. So how do you set it up? Well, there's different levels to the plank, but I'm gonna show you the forearm plank to begin. You're gonna have the forearms locked down on the floor, feet extended out in front of you, and we're trying to get the elbows directly under the shoulders. Unshrug your shoulders and then push yourself away from the floor. Now your lower back cannot be arched, so think about having a flat lower back. It helps to squeeze the glutes and then flex your quads. And then of course, brace that core like you're about to take a punch. And this is gonna be your low plank position. Let's talk about general posture when it comes to the plank. First, think about just being tall in the spine, as if someone's just pulling you up by your head. Tall spine, and then we'll cover the different landmarks. But now, to know that you're in the right position, so you should see 5 different landmarks that are in alignment. So ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles all in a straight line. Imagine that I'm in a plank position, they should all line up. So let me take you through first, shoulders. Where do we want to be when we're first in that plank position? So with the shoulders, you have to, just like when you're doing a push-up, you keep your shoulders actively depressed. Then from that position, we're also going to protract the shoulders. So think about pushing yourself away from the floor. Then let's talk about the pelvis. With your pelvis, you want to avoid positions that's called an anterior pelvic tilt. That's creating an arch in your lower back. When you're arched, your abs are in a stretch position, they're not engaged. Where you want to be instead is a posterior pelvic tilt. That's a flat lower back position. It looks like the body's completely straight. And from here, you can brace the core and actually engage your abs. That's where you want to be. Shoulders depressed, protracted, posterior pelvic tilt, all locked in. Now, when you're setting up for the plank, you also want to think about your lower body. So your knees should be locked. That means you're going to flex and engage your quads. And what that's going to do is it'll create a straighter, more rigid body positioning, and it's going to be easier to hold a plank. So looks like this. We're going to drop down, shoulders set up, pelvis, my knees are locked, so my quads are flexed and my glutes are tight. Let's talk about the feet. When you set up for the plank, just be mindful of where your weight is on your feet. Now you always want to keep your weight on the ball of your foot. Don't let your heel drift back, or don't go onto the tops of your toes. Here's what it looks like. I'm set up into position. We don't want our heels to drift back or to be too far forward. Lock in right at the ball of your feet. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna keep the weight consistent and you're not teeter-tottering back and forth, and that will change the intensity of the exercise. Let's go through some common mistakes for the plank. First one's gonna be to do with your spine. So this one I'll demonstrate with the high plank in this position. So we want the shoulders depressed and also protracted. But what I see done commonly is not only do the shoulders protract, but people end up flexing their spine. So you have that rounded upper back, but we don't want to do that. So straighten out your spine and just protract the shoulders, which looks like this. So if I were to set up, I'm pushing my shoulders down and I'm pushing away from the floor without caving my chest in and rounding my back. Keep a tall spine position. Another common mistake has to do with the pelvis positioning, which this one, it just takes some time to get used to knowing where and how your body is positioned. So when you are in a plank, then we don't want to be in that anterior pelvic tilt or an arched lower back. You want to have a flat lower back like this. Now, if you have a hard time finding this position, then what you can do is you can practice this in the easiest setting, which is lying down on the floor like this. So gravity is gonna naturally help you. Now, if I were to be in that arch back position, then that means I'm creating a lot of space between my lower back and the floor here. So we would not want to be holding a plank like this. Abs are not engaged. This is not safe for your lower back. What you want to do instead is you want to tuck your pelvis in, flatten your lower back, and that's going to create a straight line. Then you brace the core. And this is the feeling that you want. Because we have gravity assisting us, as well as something physical for us to feel, like our lower back on the mat or the floor, this is a way for you to practice what it feels like. So you just want to emulate that. Think about what that felt like if you're either doing it as an elbow plank or a high plank. So when I was arching, that's what that felt like. When I flattened my lower back on the floor, that's what that was like. And lastly, here are some different progressions for the plank.